So I think that the big thing that we have to solve is that it's for you it's easy to go to a sports club. For a lot of people with a disability, it's not, and that in 2030 it's at the same level. So the sport participation is at the same level, but also the barriers that you experience are on the same level. And what I always say to make it very easy and not talking about sport participation and that kind of things is that I hope in 2030 the only thing that you say to not go to a sports club is that you don't like it, but not that you experience any barriers to go to a sports club.
It's an incredible goal. Let's start. Hello everyone and welcome. This is a special edition of the Popping Bubbles podcast. I'm Lisa and today we're joined by a special guest. If you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Arjo Wijnhorst and I'm working at the Fund for Sports for People with a Disability.
Let's start with that. If you could share a little bit about your story that led you to where you are.
Yeah, I've always loved sport. So I played wheelchair hockey or power chair hockey as we call it today, and for all my life. And when I started as a volunteer, I also became the team manager of the Dutch wheelchair hockey team. So we went to the World Championships in Italy, and we made it to the final with the Dutch team. But unfortunately, we lost from Germany in extra time, so that was very bad. But there started my love for sports. But in my working life, I was working at the financial sector as an accountant. And in the evening, I started with an education for sport management. And when I ended my education, then I started as a local sport coach for the municipality of Arnhem. And there I also started with Uniek Sports.
Amazing. What would you say was the biggest challenge growing up?
For me with my disability, yeah, I do not have a lot of challenges. I think I always looked at the opportunities that I have. So my parents learned that to me, and we always looked what was possible, and we don't look to the things that weren't possible. So. Yeah, I don't know that I don't think I have a lot of challenges that I have.
That's a great way to look at it, a great perspective to look
Yes.
at the possibilities and opportunities that arise from it. So you mentioned that you were playing yourself and you were coaching. What did you prefer more, playing or coaching?
Yeah, they are both very. I love it both to do it, but. Yeah, it's the one part is to being part of the team and winning, and I played at a high level wheelchair hockey, but also to be a coach and a team manager of a team and working to a goal with them and getting the best out of your players. It's also very nice to do. So yeah, it's difficult to choose between them.
And Uniek Sporten, you already mentioned it.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest impact you made so far with it?
Yeah, we started in the region of Arnhem with 10 municipalities, and it's good to tell that at that moment in the half of the Netherlands, you weren't able to find your sports club nearby online. And in the other half of the Netherlands, it was on approximately 20 to 25 different websites. And our main goal was to put that all together, to to cooperate with all those municipalities in the Netherlands and to get all those sports clubs on one website. And at this moment, we have the cooperation with almost all those municipalities, and we have more than 4,000 sports clubs on our platform. So that was one of the big things that we achieved.
That's great. And how did that idea come through of not creating something new, but more uniting already existing clubs on one page?
Yeah, we saw that there were two big issues for people with a disability to go to sports. One was that they couldn't find it, so they wanted it, but they couldn't find it. And the other thing was that they had fear to go to a sports club. And we thought if we can build a good platform that helps them with those barriers, we can also help them to go to the sports clubs. But we also looked to the bigger problems around the area. For example, if I was looking for wheelchair hockey club in the region of Arnhem, I have to go to 4 different websites to view all clubs in the area of 50 kilometers, for example. So from that problem came the idea to cooperate and to look to solve that problem also.
Was everyone willing to cooperate?
No, they weren't. They had their own platform, so they thought that they could do it by themselves and go further with the things they were doing. But what we always did was not to look at the structure or the cooperation between municipalities, but always looks through the eyes of the people with a disability and what is the main goal for them and how can we help them to go to sports club as easy as possible. So when we talked about that, then we had one goal, and from that one goal we could also talk about to go to one platform. So that was I think the most important thing, that we always got back to the main goal that we had, the people with a disability themselves.
And I'm guessing you're still doing it.
Yes.
Have you seen already, well, with how the organization grows, I can assume that you've seen it, but have you seen a shift in how the sports become more inclusive in the past years?
Yes, we see that a lot of sports clubs now for people without a disability also have a team for people with a disability. I always say that that's not the big goal that we have. The big goal is that everyone has an opportunity to go to sports, and if you want to play with other people with a disability, that's also good. But we see every time we see more clubs that have that inclusion and that also have events that include all people, so people with a disability and without a disability, and they play together. So we see a lot of good examples of that.
What's then if already there is practice like that, what are the next steps for the sport to become even more inclusive?
Our main goal for 2030 for our organization is that we solve all the barriers for people with a disability. So I think that the big thing that we have to solve is that it's for you it's easy to go to a sports club. For a lot of people with a disability, it's not, and that in 2030 it's at the same level. So the sport participation is at the same level, but also the barriers that you experience are on the same level. And what I always say to make it very easy and not talking about sport participation and that kind of things is that I hope in 2030 the only thing that you say to not go to a sports club is that you don't like it, but not that you experience any barriers to go to a sports club.
It's an incredible goal.
Yes.
And This is the goal of your organization, and if I'm a student, what can I do to make maybe the sport more inclusive? Can I do something?
What you can do is if you know people with a disability in your family or in your friends, then say to them that it's possible to start with the sports. Maybe they can go to a sports club, maybe they can start by doing some exercises on our platform, that you can also do sports or movements at home. So we have Uniek Sports at home also to start on a very low level. And I think that's the most important thing, that we spread that word of inclusion, but also spread the word that it's possible and that you can look for a sport club nearby.
While preparing for this conversation, I did some research, and I also found out that Uniek Sport is also for esports.
Yes.
How did that come to life?
Yeah, we started with Uniek Esports from the idea that we want to help people to go to sports, but we also want to have the connection with people that don't like sports. And that was the idea of how can we get to people with a disability that like gaming or esports but don't like sports to go to the sports club right now. So then we thought, let's start with a platform where we can help people to get to esports. How do you play FIFA, like for example, when you have a disability or when you are blind or that kind of things. And from that, our main goal is still to get them from gaming or playing esports to get also to sport in real life at a sports club.
And how has been the progress in esport inclusivity?
I think maybe esports is the most inclusive form of sports because we can play together playing FIFA, for example, and we are on the same level because we can do that. So I think that gaming and esports is maybe the most inclusive kind of sports.
And you already mentioned this as a ultimate goal to show people the esport and then help them transition a bit into the regular sports. Do you think that's the way to approach it, of showing people through esport, or just kind of telling them to go play sports straight away?
No, we see that we also always have to first tell them other things. So for example, we have a podcast with stories about people with a disability and how they got to sports and how they doing in life and at their work. We tell stories in our social media campaign, and we also use esports as a first touch point to get to sports. So sometimes you can tell to someone, here is your sport and go to it, because I like sports very much for all my life. So if you tell me that there is a new opportunity, I maybe go to it. But a lot of people still have the fear to go to that sports club. So I think that we have to use other tools to get them to a sports club.
Yeah, and has it been working so far?
Yeah, with the esports, it's now on a low level because we are trying other things. But in general, last year we had more than 1.1 million visitors on our platform, and we see, every year we see that more people find their sports clubs through Uniek Sports. So it's working.
Then that's a great strategy to follow if it's working at the end of the day. You mentioned already your hopes for Uniek Sports, but if we're talking more generally, what are your hopes for inclusivity in sports in general?
I hope that everyone with a disability can find sport clubs, and that they are feeling that they are welcome at sport clubs. I think that's one of the main things that we still see, that people go to sports club, but they are not feeling welcome at the sports club because they are feeling different, or people seeing them as different. So I think the main goal for the whole sports sector, if you go zoom out and think big, is that that you are feeling welcome is the most important thing, I think.
And for Uniek Sports, is there anything that you're very excited about right now? Is like an upcoming project or something that you're working on that you cannot wait to show everyone?
Yeah, there are two things I mentioned earlier about Uniek Sport at home. So that's a new strategy that we have to start moving or doing sports at home on a very low level. You can easily start today. It's for free, and you have workouts and the trainers of the workouts are all people with a disability. So I'm using it myself, and I have a trainer that gives the workouts from a wheelchair also. So that's very nice, and we also made it fully accessible. So also for people that are, for example, blind or deaf, that's also possible to do all the workouts. So we have transcript and audio description and that kind of things. So that's one very nice project where we're working on. And another very nice project where we're working on is that we this year we want to build an AI tool on our website. So that it is much easier to find your sports clubs, but also we can help you with how can I say it, your own journey on the website. So for what I said, for some people it is that I'm coming on the platform, and with in the future the AI tool, I said, for example, I want to go to a wheelchair hockey club in Tilburg, and you find it immediately and you get all the information. But for someone else, it's first we give an inspirational story about someone else that was playing wheelchair hockey. Then we tell you something about how you can finance your contribution, for example, and then we are going to tell you at last where the sports clubs is. So we can build the whole journey for everyone separated, and we can look to your goals and what you want to achieve, and can help you to do that. So that's something I think that we can help a lot of people with it.
Yeah, to tailor every journey, make it more individual to everyone, and make it more inclusive at the end of the day.
Yes, also, yeah.
That's amazing. And coming back a little bit to the personal side, just it's like a few quick questions. What would you say keeps you motivated on a difficult day?
On a difficult day, if I look at personal, then it's that I have a lovely son and wife, and see them smiling, and know that I can be the father of the family, and so that gets me motivated. In my work, if I thinking that I have a bad day at work, I always remember one story when I started working in sports. There was a club in Arnhem, an athletic club, and there was a boy, and we started with a new group, and there was a boy with autism, and he came there and he was very shy, and his mother was coming with him, and I thought, it's nice that he has got to the sports club, but how does it go, and that kind of things. And a few months later, I was there again, and I said to the trainer, "Where's the boy with the office? And is he gone? Is he doing something else?" No, he said, he is on the field and he's preparing all the stuff for me. And I said, "Where is his mother?" "Oh, she's gone. She took him with the car to the sports club, and then she's gone." And that's always the thing that I remember. That's the true power of sports. That I think it's working in his life, all his life, when he's going to work or education later. Then he has still the profits of that sports clubs. Yeah.
I'm guessing that's power of the sport is also one of the reasons why you started Uniek Sporten in the first place.
Yes.
I also I read one of your interviews, and you already mentioned it today as well, the positive mindset that you follow. I can talk for myself at least. I'm very bad at it. I sometimes have a bad day and I'm like, everything is horrible. How can a person develop this type of positive mindset?
That's a
big
very
question.
big question. It starts, for me, it's always starting with to look to the things that that you can achieve and not what's bad on a day. So the glass is always half full for me. Sometimes also have a bad day. So I don't know exactly what it is. I think that I think it's important to look to the good things in life and also the things that you can achieve. And I also think that I learned it through life, so through all the things that happened in my life.
And if there were maybe one, apart from trying to look at the positive side of things, if there were another life lesson that you wish other people knew, what would that be?
I think I hope that that everyone looks to the opportunity that someone else have. And a lot of times we look to people with a disability, for example, that they can't achieve a lot and that there is not a lot possible in their life or at their working life and that kind of things. So I hope that we look to people with a disability, that there is a lot, that they can achieve a lot. But I hope that we do that to every person, to look to the opportunities that a person have and not to the things that they can't achieve.
That's great. I'm gonna take it to myself as well. I think these were all the questions from me. If anyone in the audience that we have today would like to ask a question, this would be the time.
Does the project also get funding, or how did you get the funding?
Yeah, that's a good question. We get funding from the Dutch government. That's also for the sport aids. So, for example, people with disability that needs electric wheelchair to play wheelchair hockey or a handbike or that kind of things, they get sometimes money from the government, the local government, but sometimes also not. So that's very different on the different municipalities. So we get money from the Dutch government to solve that problem. That's a big thing that we also want to achieve the next year. We get funding from the Dutch lottery, and we also get funding from some corporate organizations. And our organization, the Fund for Sports for People with a Disability, has got, for example, also a funding gala and that kind of things. So we do a lot of things from our organization to get the money. A lot of people in our organization are funding the money, and I always say on our side of the building we are spending it to get people to sports.
Nice, thank you. And how big is the team?
We are at our organization we have I think approximately 25 people working, but on Uniek Sport we also work with all the local sport coaches in all those municipalities, so that they are not working for us, but they are working for the local government, and that are I think 280 local sport coaches that give advice to people, that help sport clubs also.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Do you think there's a world where people with disabilities and people without disabilities, where they can all play the same sport, like together?
I think that's possible for some sports. For example, golf you can play together, and you have that's also a very inclusive sports where you have all the handicaps and that kind of thing. So you can play it together. I don't know if we are if it's a goal that we have the inclusion so far that we play all the sports together. For example, I don't think it's necessary that we going to play wheelchair hockey together. So for some sports, I think it's good, and you see the examples of that. But for some sports, it's also good that people with a disability play it together if they find it good to do that. So.
Also, you mentioned how it's like Uniek Sporten helps people with disabilities find sports more accessible to them in a physical aspect. But how do you think socially, like what social issues make sports inaccessible? Like, are there social stigmas or like social barriers that exist that make it difficult to participate?
Yeah. What I mentioned earlier, that's the welcome on the club part. That sometimes you see that sports clubs sometimes find it difficult that there are coming people with a disability, for example, a mental disability, or people that are blind. How do we do that? What do we have to do for them? Are there extra costs? That kind of things. So we see a lot of issues around that. So it's still sometimes it is that people without a disability find it how do you say it, difficult to talk with people with a disability. So I think that we have steps to make on that part also.
And what do you think? How do you think that can be solved? Because I'm guessing it's very ingrained in the culture, no? The socializing and speaking.
Yeah, we have to tell the stories again and again. We also have to let people with disability let them see. For example, Eva Eickhout is presenting some programs on TV, and she has a disability, so that's very important that you see it. And at the other hand, I think that we the people with a disability also have a role in it. So that we talk with you like today about this kind of issues, and we talk with you on a normal base if you are a student and that kind of thing. So I think that we have a role of ourselves to see that we are normal people where you can talk with, where you can go to sports club, but also where you can drink a beer with.
I guess you have a very inclusive team, also with like different disabilities. How do you manage them all? For example, if someone would be deaf and the other person would be blind, how do you make sure that everyone communicates with each other?
Yeah, with the sports team, we see that, for example, people who are most times people who are blind and deaf are in separated teams. So it's for example, you have walking teams for people who are blind. That's running blind. They do it with a buddy, and you have also some sport club for people who are deaf. So that's a difficult combination, those two.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of times that it's separated. At the other hand, some other disabilities are also included with each other. So, for example, it's possible for someone with a physical disability that is sporting with someone that has Parkinson's, for example.
Yeah, and the team behind?
You meant the trainers and that kind of thing?
No, yeah, the trainers and the team that creates a platform.
Oh, the team, our team.
Yeah, exactly.
On our team, there are some people with a disability, but also people without a disability. So of the 25 people that working at our organization, I think that 5 people has a disability and the other ones don't have a disability.
Yeah. And how do you manage like the team meetings and everything? Can it be without complications, or do you, for example, have for some people a special computer or special device if they need it?
No, all the people who are working at our organization has physical disability, so we don't need special things for that.
My question is like more of a general question. I usually follow the Olympics and Paralympics very closely. I really enjoy them. Do you feel like giving more exposure to these kind of like big events also made like people with disabilities actually brings in more people to your organization that want to be involved in sports?
Yeah, we saw last year with the Paralympics in Paris. I went there myself, and we see afterwards that there were a lot of people on our platform that were looking for sports and that kind of things. So that ambassadors those are the ambassadors for the sports for people with a disability. At the other hand, I also find it very important that we tell stories about people that can be your neighbor, for example, because sometimes it can also be that it's that if you see those athletes that you think, oh, that's not possible for me with my disability. So at the one hand, it can be an inspiration for you, but at the other hand, we have to get a good balance in the stories that we tell about that, because if we only use them as the inspiration, that can also be that that is not working for some people with some disabilities.
I have one question to follow up on something that you said before. You mentioned that there is also a big issue of maybe clubs not knowing how to properly communicate, or like how to make people with disabilities feel more welcome. Is it also something that Uniek Sports focuses on, to maybe teaching people how to do it or not?
And on our platform, we also have a list for trainers with education and e-learning and that kind of things, but we don't develop them. So we sometimes look to new opportunities and we get the information, but we give it to other organizations and then they develop the e-learnings for trainers. Yeah.
If there are no other questions, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone who joined. It was a special segment of Coffee Bubbles podcast. Thank you so much for joining.